Hi, my name is Piotr, and I run over 15 million calls on voice AI with Vapi. And today I want to show you very quick and easy tips you can use in your application in order to save a lot of money. So a lot of people, when they try to save on voice AI, what they do is they think, let me actually draw this. Where's thing? Okay. Probably Vapi takes like 5 cents per minute. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna migrate from Vapi, right? Or they think like, okay, I have to completely fix the pipeline, like make complex multi-agent scenarios in which some of the context is passed, some of the context isn't passed, and so on and so forth. Or like a complete re-architecture. I probably wrote that wrong. Rework of the app to ensure that less tokens are being passed. So things like that is usually where most of my clients were trying to save the money, and it's really not what they should be doing. So I'm gonna tell you all the things you need to know in order to not do what I just told you isn't the best idea. So if you take a look at how you're getting billed for voice AI, you typically have provider cost per minute, right? You have LLM, you have text to speech, you have speech to text, and what else? And telephony, right? So these are the most popular things that you have to pay for. The other is like your apps called, so like deployments, whatever you have there, infrastructure, things like that. But this is usually the sixth really thing in terms of the cost. So interestingly, I wrote telephony on the as a fifth item because usually what people do is they go more or less maybe like a LLM first, and then provider cost per minute, and text to speech and speech to text in terms of how to save money. This is what they try to optimize for. Whereas in reality, telephony is most likely your biggest culprit because pretty much everyone uses Telnyx or Twilio. But what they do is they charge you with rounding up towards a full minute. So if you have like 5 seconds of the call, this is 1 minute of being billed, right? 1 second, 1 minute of being billed, and so on and so forth. So why is it that important, really? In my case, I think it was over 90% of the calls. I think 95% of the calls ended up being a voicemail. And usually detecting a voicemail took us 8 seconds, right? So imagine like 90% of the calls being 8 seconds. So on this, all of them getting billed for 1 minute, right? So this was the cost outcome for our app. So if we had a nice pie chart, and I recommend having proper analytics for every voice AI platform. We had a nice pie chart in which when you looked at the circle, I'm gonna visualize that. It looked like telephony was something like this in terms of the cost, right? And in here there were all of the other things. So this is pretty crazy. At least I found it completely not intuitive, and this is not what I assumed would be the case. And the fix was actually insanely easy to apply. So we just found a local provider. For us, it was South Africa, who billed us per second, and even his like per second billings were on par with Twilio, I believe, or something very similar. So in our case, it was reduction of costs. I don't remember exactly. I think like around 8x or something like that. Huge amounts of savings. But here's the important part. You don't want to go full in. You don't want to go, okay. Let me draw it. Cost one provider. Let's switch 100% of the app on day one. Second. Okay. Please do not do that. So for us, we were obviously discussing like proper arrangements in order in terms of how much of the how many calls we can make within a day or things like that. And right after we hit like 10,000 accounts or something like that, everything started to break. And because we made a full-on switch, like fully replaced Twilio with them, it became a nightmare because most of our calls were failing due to random issues. So what I definitely recommend is partial rollout of whatever cost-saving strategy you have, if you have higher scale, obviously. So in this case, it was not as known provider as, like Telnyx or Twilio. And because of that, they simply didn't handle the load quite as well as they could have probably done it. So nevertheless, this was a huge saving for us. Probably gradual adoption strategy would be better, but you make mistakes, you learn. And then it was not done yet, right? So in order to save over $100K per year, what we needed to do was find other things. So then I went back to our chart, right? And after this change, I don't remember exactly, but it was more or less like this of telephony, or maybe even less actually. And something like that of an LLM, right? And the other ones were like text to speech, and so on and so forth. What I found intriguing was that when I discovered like how our calls were made, usually people spend it was around 80%, I'd say, 80% of the time on verification on our application, right? So the verification was like you needed to confirm day of birth, month of birth, and year of birth. And the way it was done, it was like, hello, can you give me your date of birth or whatever? Somebody said, oh, it's 10th of June, 1958, whatever. And the LLM didn't get a proper transcription, right? So he got month wrong. So what he said was, okay, can you repeat it? And on the subsequent try, person said wrong day. Correct month, correct year, but wrong day. And LLM returned an error again, and it was taking insane amount of time to just properly verify. So in a lot of voice AI applications, you have something similar. You need to somehow confirm the details. You have to somehow find them in the database, in the system. So many of such cases can be either solved by sending a link to provide the details, and then the response is returned to the LLM, send a SMS link. This is extremely underappreciated UX. Or the second is use Keypad for dates, numbers as a primary source of truth. This is The second option is also extremely important. And the third, I'm going to tell you in just a sec. So, why is it like that? You can never trust, speech to text. I previously mispronounced. You can never trust speech to text to properly transcribe things. So what that means is it almost always gets something wrong. Day, month, year, whatever, right? So what you have to do is to find workarounds for that, right? So sending an SMS with a link to provide the details is awesome because somebody can just click a link. They will not be wrong and you're done basically, right? But also, using a keypad solves this, for a lot of the cases. And I feel like a lot of the voice AI solutions that I've seen have not been using it, enough. And there's third option, which is, something I've never found being used anywhere else. And I really, really recommend it, which is, custom tool. Let me explain. So in our case, we had to verify day, month, year. If you're wrong, whole thing doesn't work, right? So this was our initial flow. We refactored it to day, true, month, true, year, false, something like that. So whenever the tool call was being sent with an LLM, we had to verify the date of birth for the user, and return response contained information which parts were correct with our system and which parts were not. So what LLM could have done after receiving such response for the verification was, can you repeat the year for me, please? Right? So it would accept partial failures and only reprocess the things that were wrong. So this saved us it made the verification process around 50% faster, which is absolutely crazy. And in result made the whole flow much, much cheaper because, given 80% of our Vapi minutes, let's call it, were on the verification, when you make it 50% faster, it's a huge saving, right? So these three altogether made a huge saving. And then we were down to actually focusing on what people initially focus on, right? So in terms of improving, in terms of making cost savings on the LLM and text-to-speech and speech-to-text, I usually recommend taking a look at the benchmarks that you have to, that you care about. So for the LLM, for the voice AI, it's tau squared benchmark. Please look it up online. I'll also link it in the description. Sorry. It's incredibly good one in terms of, checking whether its LLM is viable for, voice AI, essentially, solutions. In terms of text-to-speech, I tested it on our production cases. So like whether it properly says the numbers, whether it properly reacts to malformed input and so on and so forth. So for us in here, we found like that Deepgram Aura was 3 times cheaper than ElevenLabs. For the LLM, I found that using GPT 4.1 mini and then GPT 5.4 nano was much, much cheaper than what we've had before, a few times cheaper actually, with the same latency. But essentially, I feel like this part that I just, that I mentioned earlier, which is telephony, number 5, and having a proper UX around the call really, saves you already such a huge amount that then switching a provider in terms of LLM, text-to-speech or speech-to-text is just, easy peasy, let's call it, right? So I hope you find it useful. I hope you can apply it in your scenarios as well. And let me know if you found something interesting about this video. I am Piotr. I'm doing consultancy on the voice AI solutions, and I hope to see you next time.